Yeah, I mean, they are the lifeblood of this team. They've been through a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of our fan base, season ticket members and beyond, are among the most loyal people in sports. I don't know how you would argue that. They've, like I said, been through a lot between ownership, arena sagas. I mean, luckily Vivek came in and stabilized everything from from the perspective that we could lose our franchise and it could go somewhere else. That was a nice piece to put aside kind of forever, and building the stadium and all those things has been amazing, and a true gift back to the fans who have been so loyal and passionate and given their money and voice and all the time and everything else. They continue to show, man. I never want to take for granted how loyal, passionate these people are, because they've had every right to walk away, right, to go, and they don't.
He is the public address announcer for the Sacramento Kings. We have the pleasure in welcoming Scott Moak onto Hoopsology. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on to the show. Truly appreciate it. Before we jump into your career, we have a bit of a tradition on our show. We talk about basketball culture. So take this question any way you want it. What is your first or favorite basketball memory?
Ooh, memory. Well, my favorite is probably, it's actually a little more recent than what I might have originally thought. As my kids, now 14 and 11, as they've gotten older, clearly Kings fans, right? So like I got them in the pipeline early on, but they never really understood when they were younger what dad did. They didn't really understand, the games and just they're little. As they've gotten older, they definitely it's triggered this like, oh wait, like this is actually kind of cool. And it was when my youngest, now 11, he was probably 7 or 8, when he hit that, like, can I go to all the games with you and sit with you and listen to you? And I was like, buddy, we've arrived. So it's as weird as it sounds, like that's probably the coolest part. I mean, I have an amazing job. I feel blessed every game, every quarter, every minute, every timeout. So all of those moments encapsulated back from 2002 onward have been fantastic. When your kids when it kind of clicks, that's definitely special.
No, that's awesome. We interviewed a bunch of public address announcers. I've said this before. It's one of my favorite interviews to really delve into, because I think all you guys have like different stories to tell. So
sure.
Can we get into yours specifically in terms of how you got into public address announcing and then how you became the voice of the Sacramento Kings? What was your journey like?
Yeah, a little bit of a twisted one for sure. Really first, I did a little campus radio when I was at UC Davis, working with a good buddy, Eric Hasseltine, who's actually the play-by-play voice for the Memphis Grizzlies and has been forever. We were fraternity brothers, and he was a rock star, even just doing KDVS 90.3 FM and Davis radio. We'd follow around the football team. We did that for a couple seasons, and I could tell right away that Eric was, destined for basically what he's doing today. I mean, he was the cream of the crop, just a master of his craft. And we were in our early 20s. So he was destined to do great things. I feel like, I was just kind of along for the ride. I got a little per diem and got to watch football games from a cool spot all around the country. That was really neat for me. When I came back to Sacramento after graduating from Davis, the thought of the microphone probably didn't leave my mind too far. I my dad was an athletic director at the high school I went to, actually, John F. Kennedy High School in South Sacramento. And he actually said, like, hey, if you ever want, like, I could use a PA announcer for football, girls basketball, and boys basketball if you want to do it. I'm like, oh, whoa, wait, like what? Like, that's pretty cool. Like, what are you paying that announcer? And he's like, nothing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I might give you a hot dog at halftime, but that's about it. So I said yes, because that hot dog was worth it. And yeah, so I kind of started that way. I then started dabbling around other places in Sacramento. I got connected up with American River College sports and did basketball, both men and women's basketball, football, did a little bit of baseball, did some Sac State work. I started maybe with some softball, It definitely did boys, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, football eventually. I just kind of kept accumulating all these little opportunities. And then the Kings had an open tryout in 2000. The longtime announcer, his name was Fred Anderson. He had passed away. And he is one of the voices in my head still as I announce games. He was a legend and just was meant a ton to that franchise. And but he passed away, and so they waited a year or so, had an open tryout at a sports bar that doesn't even exist anymore. It sits where there's a Starbucks there now, right across from Cal Expo. And so they packed the place, me and a bunch of, I don't know, 160 other ding dongs that showed up to take a crack at it. We announced a couple live plays, read a PA script, a little PA read, and I think called it a day. And then I did get a call back. So there was another round. And finally I made it down to the final four. And so they thought the best way, I guess, was to have each of us, all four of us, announce a half of a preseason game. So I got to announce a full half. I think I did the first and second quarter of the second game, the home game of the preseason schedule. And this is back in 2000. We actually played the Seattle Supersonics for that game, if that gives you any indication how long I've been around. A team doesn't even exist anymore. And I thought I did great. I got to, I don't know, I was nervous for sure, but got to have some fun with it and play around, and it was great. I had a great time. I thought I did good. Thought I crushed it. Thought I had a chance. Got a call a couple days later from the director. His name is Seth Bardicke, ironically now a great friend of mine. And he called and was like, "Hey, Moak, you did great, man. You killed it. Like the energy and everything was spot on. You didn't get the job." And I was shocked and like bummed, and I wanted to scream at someone, but I didn't do that. I luckily it was a good learning moment for me. Like, even though, like, use the thought bubble. You don't have to use your words all the time. You can use just your thoughts. And so I said, "Hey, I appreciate the opportunity. And if anything ever else comes along and you need help with anything, I'm your guy. Give me a call." And so I remained a Kings fan. I was still going to games. I was a season ticket holder sitting up there in section 213 row E, and loved it, loved that time, still was doing other things. And then it was 2 years later that they called back and said, "Hey, we think we want to give you another shot. Will you come back and do a little informal tryout?" I did that, and I've been doing it ever since. So that was the season, from season opener 2002 to what will be season opener 2025 here coming up soon.
So take our audience to your first day of being the PA announcer for the Kings. What was that experience like once you landed the job?
Yeah, I wish cell phones existed during then, and camera phones. That would have been super helpful. YouTube, things like that. None of that existed. So from the best I can remember, as you can imagine, Justin, I was pretty nervous. There are some YouTube clips back early in the 2002, 2003, 2004 era. Particularly, I think I've seen one of us playing the Dallas Mavericks in the playoffs, and I listened to that and I'm like, "Oh my God, that dude's terrible. Like, someone talk to that young kid." But I respected what I was there to do, and I tried to prepare the best I could and make it a fun presentation of how I felt like a public address announcer needs to do his job. Fred obviously set the stage for me, and many others around the country who obviously Ray Clay. Everybody kind of knows and remembers the great Chicago Bulls and Ray Clay, how he did that intro sequence. Mason in Detroit is another that's just incredible. Lawrence Tanter down with the Lakers, it has a different, he's the iconic kind of tone of his voice is something that you can't match. But when I said that my dad was athletic director at that high school, and our announcer, the announcer, even when I was a little kid coming to games at Kennedy, his name was Hassan Hanks. And I remember him vividly and can hear his voice right now. He was an eighth grade teacher, a middle school teacher in Sacramento, but he would moonlight and announce Kennedy High School basketball games. And he called himself the Golden Voice, which I thought was completely like the coolest thing ever. Like for the guy to gloss himself his own nickname is just in high school is the best. But he was great. Like he was really good. He got the crowd into it. It was always a packed gym because the high school, we were really good at the time. And I do remember that. So as a young kid, I definitely remember that. And to this day, the cadence I use, this is probably a little too geeky science around PA announcing, but the cadence I use for fouls and to say certain things is totally a ripoff of Hassan. I mean, he is who's in my head. And so I give him a ton of credit for giving me those ideas, skills, tools, and yeah, it's been an amazing ride. I did a chance to do it ever since then.
So can you take our audience through just a typical day, your preparation? I've talked to other public address announcers where they get so into it that they need an adrenaline dump. It's just so intense after the game is over. After it's over, that they just need some time just to decompress what they experienced previously.
Fair.
Just curious what you've gone through and just how you cope with that, especially if the game is close or there's a playoff situation that maybe doesn't go your way, or the opposite where something spectacular happens.
Yeah.
Can I take our audience through that?
Yeah. I feel like I've had my fair share of all of that. A lot of highs, fair share of lows. I think from as it relates to my routine, it's changed a little bit over the years. There was a period for 6 or so years that I was working full time for the Kings while also being the announcer. So I worked on the business side, on the community, like a corporate social responsibility side of the business. So that was really cool. It changed my days for sure. I would just basically spend all day there, and especially on game days, right? But non-game days, I get there, just in time to get everything set up. I'm sure most guys you've talked to, and gals that you've talked to are, we're kind of creatures of habit. We kind of get into the same routine, setting things up. I usually connect with a bunch of old friends and say hi to people many of whom with the Kings, since I've been around a bit, a lot of people who have been there for 15, 20, 25 years, I've had the chance to get to know and love over the years. I usually have a little pregame meal. My favorite is to spend that time with my guy, Gary Gerald, who is our radio announcer and just an amazing human being. And it's a chance for me to catch up with him and swap stories and hear his take. I usually, most of the stuff that I prepare, I did the night before. I kind of got everything ready, sheets I use and stuff like that only a handful of people in America care about. But yeah, I then ensure, like every good announcer should, or decent announcer is my case, that I'm going to make sure I get the names right. If I have any questions about guys, if there's ever the slightest question, I will certainly ask. I'll find someone on the opposing team a trainer, media, someone in media relations, just because we have one job, and it is to get those names right. So making sure it is easier because the popularity of the sport makes it, you can watch SportsCenter during the evening and pick up most of the names. So it makes our job a little bit easier. I do appreciate there's a couple of teams, the Raptors come to mind, Utah, maybe Minnesota, where no matter what, the Golden State, where the media relations representative will come down and they'll either have some kind of cheat sheet card, they'll have something, just want to touch in, hey, you good? You got any questions? And it's Draymond Green, right? Draymond and Stephen Curry, that's right. And so it's our same shtick that we've been doing for 30 years. Kevin Looney, I think, was the shtick when Kavan was there. So, but yeah, and then, get close to game time, ball goes up and the engine starts rolling.
So I'm very curious, what is your philosophy on announcing opposing teams? I'm always interested in hearing this in terms of I've heard it's usually very, let's say, somber tone in terms of the opposing team or trying to remain a little bit more neutral. Just curious your philosophy, if you had any other opposing players kind of talk to you in terms of how you've announced them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a article written a long, long time ago. It might have been even, I think ESPN Mag or something that probably doesn't exist anymore. But they wrote, the author was writing about the experience and used a Kings game night as one of the examples in the article about what it was like. He described how, in this case, I announced the home team, which sounded like, all the fanfare plus, right? Everything you could fit into excitement and energy and passion for the name and the player and all that stuff, all whittled down into this, little container that just flies out of the speakers. He said, conversely, the way he described me saying the opposing neighbors or opposing players' names was the way you would say the name of the guy who asked your girlfriend to prom. And I thought that was pretty good.
Right.
Right? Like, hey, Scott, what do you mean? You have a girlfriend. Who asked her to prom? Justin. Like, right? Like, so I feel like I've maybe used that over the course of my time. And no love. We're not trolling. We're not targeting. We're not singling a player out. We are just simply not giving them any love. Now, your question about it's funny. I haven't thought about this in a long time, but right before we were playing the Kings were playing the Celtics, and we were about to go back. It was halftime, about to carry on the third quarter play. Guys are coming in, getting on the court, doing their shoes, getting the hand stuff from the side, sits right there, usually in front of us. And Paul Pierce comes walking down, and he's like doing his shoes. He's doing his hand, and he like looks at me out of the corner of his eye. He's all, hey. And I literally, it was one of the first times I think I was ever talked to that way, that directly during a game by a player. And he was like, hey. And I'm like, yeah. He says, you the mic man? Because what's interesting about that is that if you look down the row of table of on Media Row, everybody has the same thing. It's like cans and a mic, just like you're wearing. Everybody looks, you have the cool mic in front of you, but like everybody looks the same. Like how he maybe deciphered that it was me, I thought was interesting. But nonetheless, he comes down, he's all, you the mic man? And I'm all, I am. He's all, why can't you give me a big Paul Pierce? Why can't you do it like big? And I'm all, I can't do that, man. I can't. He's all, you're shutting down Paul Pierce? And I said, I am unfortunately going to shut down Paul Pierce. Kings didn't shut him down, that's for sure. I think the guy scored like 50. So whatever. None of us could shut him down. I guess the day.
That's crazy. He spoke to you in the third person. So
100%.
That's crazy.
But now that we know, watch Paul Pierce, like it doesn't that tracks, right?
That totally does. That makes total sense. Yeah. I want to ask you specifically to Sacramento, lighting the beam. Like, where did that come from? It seems like probably, as I see a lot of teams trying to like create their own kind of version of ripping off their own version of that, but it seems very unique to Sacramento. One of the coolest things probably in all of sports, to be honest. Yeah, no, lightning in a bottle or beam in a bottle. I don't know. I guess we can say that. It was it was definitely a collaborative approach to making it happen. I think the way that I've heard it explained and knowing a little bit from behind the scenes, the president of Vivek always had, our owner had a passion for doing things a little bit out of the box and wanting to push people to create, creative elements, stories, fun moments, all the things. So he was always pushing people to do this. I know that when this got to him and he had some awareness of it, it was like, absolutely, let's roll. John Reinhardt, the president, one of the presidents of the Kings, he grew up down in the Los Angeles, Anaheim area. And he said that he remembered as a young kid passing by on the freeway, Angel Stadium, when he would go home or come home from school or whatever, I think is the story. And he would always look because outside of the stadium, they had near the freeway a giant A with a halo, the old logo, and the halo was lit up when the Angels won, and it was dark when they didn't. And he was always captivated by that, from what I was told. So I think there was a lot of workshopping that include ownership and John and our game entertainment people, Maurice Brazelton, who's an absolute genius and been with the Kings for 25 or so more years as the director of game entertainment and VP now. I think that, in workshopping what was possible,
I think it came to where it's like, hey, what if we beam a light into the sky when we win? And sure enough, man, I mean, we definitely, it was funny if you go back and look at like how it started. It was a lot grittier than it is now. We didn't even know how to light it back then. I think someone, I can't remember who lit the first beam. I don't know. Was it Terrence? I can't remember who it was, but I actually think we like fist bumped, and that when I'm interviewing him post game, and that like lit the beam, and then we got a pseudo button, and now there's like a real button that's plugged in and shoots in through from the inside to the out. So it's been special. I mean, people come, there allegedly are people that come far and wide to just see the beam, and so people definitely want to scamper outside after the game's over on a win to check it out. So it's been super cool. I don't know if any team will ever be able to quite emulate something as good as that. There will be things that, the people are obviously really creative. There'll be something, but we'll always have the beam.
How has that changed the relationship with the fans and the fan base of the Kings? It's always very curious to get kind of the temperature of different fan bases around the league. What's your relationship with them, especially maybe the fans are always at the games, the season ticket holders? What's your relationship with them, your interactions with fans over the years?
Yeah, I mean, they are the lifeblood of this team. They've been through a lot. A lot of our fan base, season ticket members and beyond, are among the most loyal people in sports. I don't know how you would argue that. They've, like I said, been through a lot between ownership, arena sagas. I mean, luckily Vivek came in and stabilized everything from the perspective that we could lose our franchise and it could go somewhere else. That was a nice piece to put aside kind of forever, and building the stadium and all those things has been amazing and a true gift back to the fans who have been so loyal and passionate and given their money and voice and all the time and everything else. They continue to show, man. I never want to take for granted how loyal, passionate these people are, because they've had every right to walk away, right, to go, and they don't. And they continue to be loud on a Wednesday game in the middle of the cold Sacramento winter, 70-something degrees. No, that's not exactly right. But like they still show up, and they're loud. And, we had the chance a couple years ago to get finally back to the playoffs. And I felt like that was just another great gift that the franchise was able to give to those people that have been through a lot, and they're still ready. They're hungry, man. Any opportunity to turn up the volume, to crank it up, to help. I truly believe, I am not naive by thinking or saying this, but I truly believe they have helped win games.
Yeah.
And I know that, I know that's a thing in other sports, and I think it's a thing in basketball where a crowd has tipped. I think we saw the power of the Oklahoma City crowd during the finals last year. There's no doubt that they have an influence on the game, and they know it. Sacramento fans know it, and they use it, and it's powerful, and it's totally fun to watch and be a tiny little part of ramping them up when I can.
Yeah, I think this fan participation is pretty underestimated within the NBA. I think it's always valued within college, but I think within the pros sometimes doesn't get its due. So I think they
Agreed.
Totally contribute to the outcome of certain teams. I want to touch on this topic with you, and that's technology and artificial intelligence. Just curious, I talked to other public address announcers. They've said that AI has kind of invaded their space in terms of implementing that type of technology. Has it entered your space at all in terms of what you currently go through, or is this something that hasn't hit your world yet?
Yeah, I don't know if it's greatly impacted my day-to-day role at the Kings, showing up like I do for game nights. You can see that there definitely are ways that the fan experience, whether through a board show, intro sequence, audio, music, all sorts of things can definitely be now created in a way that just feels like a couple of years ago we couldn't do. I haven't seen that. I'd love to have that chat with some of those announcers that are feeling that way. I feel it's funny because I actually feel like no matter how good the bots get, if you have to present in person, I don't know how you do that. I mean, I guess unless we're talking about completely replacing me with a voice simulator that sounds just like me to do the things I would be doing there anyway. Sure. But like, I guess the part about announcing a live sports is we don't know what's going to happen. Like, and so and I'm sure there will be, so I will eat my words in however many years, but when a referee comes to the table because of a crazy rule and a replay and this player's been ejected and this coach is, and you have to explain that, like, I wish the bots good luck. I hope they can do that. So I don't know. It's fun. I won't lie. It's kind of fun to be alive while this is happening, to see it and to see how it can be used for good and to make people's lives better and make things more efficient. I love all that parts of it. I just don't know how. I don't know. I don't see it yet, but let's talk in a couple of years and maybe I'll be eating my words.
No, that makes sense. And I think sports is about the human element. I think that's the whole point of watching. I mean, there are people that maybe, they'll bet on certain things and their relationship is not personal. It's more monetary. But I think that a lot of the long-lasting relationships that is generational, that's passed down from fan to fan, it's personal. And especially when you're going to an arena, speaking for myself, it is the public address announcer, the play-by-play person, the in-arena host. It's just a personal feel, along with the players.
Yeah.
All that goes into the relationship, and I just feel like replacing it with technology kind of strips the soul of what is going on.
Yeah, so that'd definitely be a different feel. And, it was years ago that the NBA overall and all sports leagues have kind of followed, where it is an entertainment event that you are going to. There's certainly a basketball game with 10 guys that are playing back and forth and playing out the 48 minutes, but the way the NBA pushes it and the way that teams have embraced it is that you are there to entertain people for the time that they are there. Yep. So get after it. Like, go do it. The game certainly is the biggest part. The game is the main character, but there are other parts that there's a lot of other things to do.
Yeah. No, totally true. Final question for you. Do you have any like a memorable moment that stands out to you in your entire career, just in terms of maybe something unique or a challenge you had to overcome or an interaction with a player that really stands out?
I mean, gosh, that's a tough one. I do like to remind LeBron that I announced his first game. So buddy, I was the first. Okay. Beside that was obviously pretty cool because I had done 1 year. And so that was the beginning of my second year. So I was still extremely green, and that was super special. It would be hard to say, and I've said this before to people, friends, family, and others that know me, that when the Kings, when it was official that they were staying in Sacramento and then ultimately built the stadium, that first game in Golden One Center was pretty magical. I mean, all the way through. Emotional, nostalgic. I had all the elements of just a great documentary because it was the fight that people had to endure and what people went through, a lot of casualties along the way, and to get to that spot where Sacramento opened a building and got to fill it and do their thing. That was such a cool moment to be a part of. But yeah, I mean, that's not to say, I did get to announce a Michael Jordan game when he played for the Wizards before he retired. I announced John Stockton, leaving the court for the last time in Sacramento, Karl Malone, guys like that. Like, those are all super special. I don't take any of that for granted. And Kings memories that will last forever too. You know, a lot of guys I've had the chance to get to know. I mean, heck, it was years ago that we had a Kings slow pitch softball team during the summer, and Ron Artest played left field, Brad Miller played first base, and Bobby Jackson pitched. So, that was pretty fun. I played third, made a couple plays, got a hit now and again.
How were they as teammates?
Great.
That have been a wild experience.
The best. No, I mean, that's what's crazy. I mean, not only are they insanely exceptional athletes in whatever they choose to do, ping pong, they pick up a golf club for the first time. They learn the game of water polo in 10 minutes and they would be great. Like they are wired that way. They are, I mean, you know, Brad, a 7-footer playing first base is really great actually for a guy throwing the ball across the diamond. But in addition to just how good of athletes they are and how good they are, you know, on those teams, they're incredible teammates. Like they know how to be a pro teammate, and it's great. Like you learn from that, as silly as that sounds, in like rec league softball, it's wild to see like how they pick each other up and are supportive and, you know, don't get down on your teammates and make the next play, and don't, like it all applies. It was great, super fun experience. And Ron Artest bought us, or Meta World Peace bought us all jerseys to wear. He was really upset that we were just going to wear like random clothes. The first time he went out, I don't know if he'd ever played rec softball before. And so he saw that and he's like, what are we doing? And someone's like, no, bro, it's Ron. We just wear, it's like, we just wear what we wore, you know, we're lounging around the house. And then I have a softball game. Let me grab my glove, and you go out, and cleats, and you go out and play. And he's like, no, we ain't having that. Not on a team I'm playing for. So sure enough, like the next week, he distributed like the most beautiful, I still have it, like the most beautiful baseball jersey I've ever seen. Logo, number on the back, nameplate. I mean, we were the best looking team in that league. I'd tell you that right now.
No, that's awesome. Appreciate making the time, Scott. Thank you very much. Can you let our audience know where they can find you on social media? You have any upcoming projects and anything else you want our audience to be aware of?
Oh, appreciate that. Announcer Scott is always it on X, on Instagram. I do, during COVID, I started doing Instagram Live for intros, and then I thought it was just going to be a COVID thing. And then I didn't do it the first couple games once we came back from COVID. And people are like, what are you doing, buddy? Like the only reason I follow you is so I can watch the intro. And so I went back to doing it, and I've done it ever since. So that's always a fun thing. You get a kind of a bird's eye view of my fat face during an intro sequence for a home Kings game anyway. But yeah, those are the fun ways. Always love interacting with fans, people. I don't care if you love the Mavericks, Cavaliers, Knicks. I maybe care if you love the Lakers, but for the most part, I just love people as basketball fans and love the sport, love the game, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Awesome. Scott, thank you very much for making the time. Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
For sure. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate you, man.